The pact. The smartwatch screen flickered with a single word before going dark. Off. Emma's hand trembled as she dropped it into the biohazard bin, the device disappearing beneath layers of medical waste. Behind her, through the ambulance window, Mark and Laura were being led away in handcuffs by officers in different uniforms. Mark looked back at her, mouth moving soundlessly. She turned her head away. But that was the end. The beginning had been a simple malfunction. Or so she thought. Emma's eyelids snapped open. The bedroom was too bright, too loud with silence. She reached for her iPhone 14 on the nightstand. The screen stayed black, dead, and unresponsive to her frantic thumb. She tapped it again. Harder. Nothing. The duvet slid away from her bare feet. The wool rug was cold beneath her soles as she crossed toward the wall-mounted thermostat. The display read 85 degrees. She'd set it to 68 before bed. What the hell is going on? Her voice cracked in the empty room. The kitchen was worse. She knelt by the island, yanking out the spice rack drawer. It stuck, resisting, then gave way with a scrape of wood on wood. Behind the jar of McCormick oregano, the one she'd organized just yesterday, sat something that didn't belong. A matte black smartwatch. The screen glowed with a pulsing green waveform, alive and watching. A floorboard creaked. Emma spun. A hooded figure lunged from the pantry, gray sweatshirt and shadows. She swung the drawer like a club without thinking. The wood connected with a grunt of pain. Oregano flakes exploded into the air like shrapnel, a cloud of green-brown dust hanging between them. The intruder grabbed her wrist, twisting. Emma gasped, the pain shooting up her arm like electric current. Her heel came up in a savage arc, striking the intruder's shin. A female voice groaned. That detail registered even through the adrenaline. And then Emma was being shoved hard into the island. The edge caught her ribs. The intruder sprinted toward the back door, bare feet slapping against tile, and then was gone. The door slammed. Gravel crunched under receding footsteps. Emma collapsed against the island, breathing in ragged gasps. She was still holding the spice drawer. She let it fall. The smartwatch lay on the counter where it had been knocked. She picked it up with trembling hands. The screen had changed. The waveform was gone, replaced by a text. Node 4 compromised. Reroute to Laura. Mark walked into the living room, buttoning his blue-striped dress shirt. He stopped, looked at Emma. She was holding the smartwatch like a piece of evidence or a bomb about to detonate. His face arranged itself into a mask of confusion, concerned, patient. Emma, what are you doing with that? His voice was so calm it made her sick. It's just a fitness tracker Laura gave me. Emma swiped the screen. A GPS map bloomed across the display. Red dots pulsed over 6 houses in their cul-de-sac. Each one labeled. The Thompsons, the Garcias, the Hendersons, the Millers. All their neighbors, all tracked. A fitness tracker that monitors the whole neighborhood's location? Her voice climbed higher. Mark, someone was in our house. Mark's hand moved quick. He grabbed her wrist, squeezed. Not enough to bruise, not quite. Enough to establish that he could. He eased the watch from her fingers with his other hand, his wedding ring catching the morning light. You're stressed, babe. The wedding, the move. I'll give this back to Laura. It's part of the security system she set up for us. His voice remained that same gentle, explanatory tone. The tone you used with children or animals. You're stressed. He turned to walk away. A piece of paper fell from his pocket. A thermal receipt. The kind that never lasted. Emma picked it up automatically. On the back, in blue ink, in handwriting, she recognized from 100 thank you cards on their fridge. Schedule the glitch for 7 a.m. Keep her in the kitchen. Emma stared at Mark's back as he moved toward the hallway. He was humming. You are my sunshine. Her stomach dropped. That was the tune the intruder had been humming. She was sure of it now. Absolutely sure. Emma fumbled with her car keys by the CRV, her hands shaking so badly that when she tried to insert the key into the lock, they slipped from her fingers. The keys skittered across the asphalt, heading toward the storm drain. She lunged. A gloved hand snapped them up first. Mrs. Gable. 70 years old, garden shears hanging from her other hand. On her wrist, a black smartwatch, glowing green. Don't go to the police, Emma. Mrs. Gable's voice was barely above a whisper, and her eyes kept darting back toward Mark's house. Laura's husband is the captain. Just do what they say. It's safer. Emma grabbed the keys back. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out. A notification filled the entire screen, system level, blocking everything else. Emma, the exterior perimeter is active. Stay inside. A distant siren wailed somewhere beyond the neighborhood boundary. Emma slammed the CRV into reverse. Tires screamed against asphalt. Gravel sprayed in a cloud behind her as she whipped the steering wheel around. The engine roared. She could see the neighborhood exit just ahead, the iron gate that was usually always open, but which now stood closed, sealed shut against her. A black Ford F-150 erupted out of a neighbor's driveway. The truck didn't slow down. Didn't even seem to try. It just came straight at her, and when the angle was right, it hit her broadside with a deafening crunch of metal and exploding glass. Emma's head snapped to the side. Pain lanced through her shoulder. When her vision cleared, she saw him through the truck's windshield. Brian, Laura's husband, stone-cold eyes. She swerved onto the sidewalk, mashing the accelerator. The CRV scraped past the truck, her door crumpling like paper. The mirror came off entirely. She didn't look back, but she didn't need to. In the rearview mirror, she saw them. 3 more cars pulling out of driveways, all of them pointed at her, all of them accelerating. The neighborhood was mobilizing. She drove, not toward the gate anymore. That was a dead end. Instead, she threaded through side streets she'd only driven once or twice. The libraries on Elm, the old shopping center. A rote burned into her brain from when Mark had shown her around, proud of his discovery of this perfect neighborhood. Every street looked the same. Every house perfectly maintained. Every lawn exactly manicured. Every place exactly wrong. She didn't see when she lost them, only knew that the mirrors had been empty for several minutes. She drove for another 15 minutes anyway, taking random turns, doubling back, until the fear began to crystallize into something more useful. Calculation. The library. Public computers. No tracking. The corner of the library was dim. Emma sat hunched over an old desktop PC. The smartwatch connected via a USB cable she'd found in her car. Her fingers moved across the keyboard, muscle memory from college computer science classes kicking in. The encryption was simple. Too simple, which meant it wasn't meant to keep out the dedicated. It was meant to keep out the casual. She was neither. File names scrolled past. Audio log Miller bedroom. GPS history Emma. Video stream Garcia residence. Each one a violation. Each one a small window into someone else's captured life. She found a folder labeled The Pact. The PDF that opened made her breath catch. It wasn't just their neighborhood. The document showed zones. Zones 1 through 50, spread across Ohio like a grid. Each zone had neighborhoods. Each neighborhood had families, names, addresses. The structure was meticulous, industrial, a franchise, not a hobby or a one-off thing, a system a system that had been running for years. She found the audio file dated yesterday. Hit play. The headphones filled her ears with static, then voices. Mark's voice, familiar and controlled. Laura's voice, thin and metallic. If she doesn't fall in line after the heat glitch, we use the basement protocol. Emma took off the headphones. The library computer hummed around her, indifferent. She looked at the clock in the corner of the screen. 11:15 a.m. She'd been here for less than an hour and already felt like she'd been fleeing for days. She needed to leave before they found her. Emma walked out into sunlight so bright it felt hostile. The parking lot was empty, all except for one person leaning against Emma's dented CRV like she was waiting for a friend. Laura. She looked almost serene. Pearl necklace, floral sundress, silenced pistol held low by her side. Her smile was warm. Her eyes were nothing. You always were the smart one, Emma. That's why Mark chose you. Laura shifted her weight, perfectly at ease in the empty parking lot. We needed a new administrator for the western sector. Emma backed away. Her heel caught on the curb. She stumbled, righted herself, kept moving backward. We can make it easy, Laura continued, taking a small step forward. Or we can make it complicated. But it's happening either way. The library door behind Emma was sealed with a yellow sign, closed for maintenance. When had that happened? Had it been closed when she went in? She couldn't remember. The day was already starting to blur at the edges. You don't understand yet, Laura said. But you will. We all did. We all thought the same thing you're thinking right now. And then we understood. The basement was cold concrete and harsh fluorescent light. Emma was zip-tied to a metal folding chair in the center of the space. Her lip was split and bleeding where someone, she wasn't sure who, had hit her during the drive back. A single bare light bulb flickered overhead. Water dripped somewhere in the darkness, each drop a small percussion marking time. Laura paced the perimeter of the light, an iPad held loosely in her hands. She scrolled through photographs. Emma's college graduation. Emma at her wedding. Emma in 100 moments that she'd thought were hers alone. Mark stood in the shadows near the stairs, refusing to meet her eyes, his fingers twitching against his thighs. This neighborhood used to be chaos, Laura said, her voice taking on a strange, fervent quality. Burglary, divorce, addiction, infidelity. The schools were failing. Property values were tanking. We fixed it. We watch everything so nothing bad can happen. We protect our own. You're insane. Emma's voice came out ragged. No, Laura said. We're efficient. The light bulb. Emma had noticed it immediately. The old, incandescent type. The kind that threw off enough heat to occasionally pop when the current surged. One had died recently, leaving behind sharp fragments of glass on the concrete floor near the chair. She'd managed to work one into her fingers, while Laura and Mark were distracted with their explanations. Now, while Laura paced and Mark stared at nothing, Emma sawed against the plastic of the zip tie. The motion was small, barely perceptible. Rasp, rasp, rasp. The glass bit into her palm, shallow cuts, burning. But she didn't stop. The plastic was thick, industrial grade. It was going to take forever. She had no idea how much time she actually had. The zip tie gave way suddenly, the last fiber snapping. Emma held her hands together for another second, then lunged. Her forehead connected with Mark's solar plexus. He went down gasping, all the wind knocked out of him. Laura spun toward her, and Emma was already moving, already grabbing the iPad from Laura's hands. She didn't think about it. She just brought it up and across like a club. The impact was solid. Laura's head snapped back. Blood sprayed from her nose. The device shattered into pieces. Laura recovered faster than Emma expected. She tackled Emma into a stack of cardboard boxes, and they went down in a tangle of limbs and rage. Emma could smell Laura's perfume, something expensive and floral, mixed with blood. They rolled across concrete, and Emma's vision narrowed to just this: Laura's face, her own hands, the desperate need to survive. Emma's fingers found Laura's eyes. She didn't hesitate, didn't think, just pushed. Laura choked. Her hands came up to shield her face, and suddenly she had her pearl necklace in her hands, was pulling it tight around Emma's neck. The strand dug into her throat. Emma's vision began to spot. She thrashed, brought her elbow back in a sharp arc, felt it connect with something soft. The pressure around her neck released. Laura gasped, choking. The necklace had snapped, pearls scattering across the dark floor like marbles falling downstairs. Both women lay on the concrete, breathing hard, bleeding. Laura sat up against the basement wall and laughed. Actually laughed. Blood streamed from her nose, and one eye was already swelling shut. But her laughter echoed off the concrete walls like she'd won something. Outside the high basement windows, the flash of red and blue light had started. Subtle at first, then brighter. Rhythmic, police sirens. "You think you're escaping?" Laura's voice was thick with blood and triumph. "Those are our uncles, our cousins. The law here is just the family in uniform." Emma stared at her. The magnitude of it was too large to comprehend. Not just the neighborhood, not just the network, but the entire structure of authority had been corrupted from the inside, had been built this way from the start. She looked down at her own wrist. There was a faint red mark, a small patch where her skin had been irritated. Transdermal. She reached for it, peeled it away. A thin medical patch, the kind that delivered medication or tracking data or... She didn't know what else. The basement door at the top of the stairs opened. Two officers in different uniforms than the ones outside led Emma up the stairs. She was moving in slow motion, the drug, or whatever it was, making the world soft at the edges. The kitchen was bright and normal and obscene. Mark was there, and Laura, now holding a wet towel to her mangled face. Her phone lay on the counter. The screen was glowing, counting down from 30 seconds. 29, 28. "I didn't just crack the watch at the library," Emma said. Her voice sounded strange, slurred, but the words came out anyway. "I synced it to every local news server in the Midwest." Laura's expression shifted, froze. The towel lowered from her face. The countdown hit 20 seconds. Mark's phone on the table began to shriek, not a ringtone, the high-decibel recording of Laura's voice, and then Mark's response, discussing her, discussing the plan, discussing the basement protocol and what would happen if she didn't fall in line. Every officer's radio began broadcasting the same audio. Every phone in the kitchen started screaming in unison. The sound was overwhelming. A wall of testimony, a thousand-fold overlap of confession and conspiracy. Emma pointed to the window. Outside, neighbors were coming out of their houses. The Garcias, the Thompsons, Mrs. Gable. All of them holding their phones, all of them hearing the truth for the first time. All of them finally understanding what had been done to them. The officers tried to move, to do something. But there was nothing to do. Nothing they could do. The moment had already escaped the room and was spreading like a virus through every connected device in the Midwest. The truth was no longer containable. Emma sat in the back of an ambulance while state police, different uniforms, different faces, different everything, led Mark and Laura away in handcuffs. Her ribs ached. Her throat was raw. Her mind was still catching up to the fact that she was alive. Mark looked back at her one last time. His mouth moved, but she couldn't hear what he was trying to say. She didn't need to. She turned her head away and didn't turn it back. The sun was setting. Long shadows stretched across the driveway. Other ambulances were starting to arrive. Other sirens. In the distance, she could hear more cars pulling up. The whole neighborhood was beginning to understand what had been done to it. What had been built in the spaces between the houses and the careful suburban smiles. Emma looked down at her hand. She was holding the original black smartwatch, the device that had started it all. She looked at the yellow biohazard bin inside the ambulance, then at the watch. The screen flickered once, caught her eye, then she dropped it. The watch fell into the bin with a soft plastic clunk. It disappeared beneath layers of medical waste and contamination markers. The screen went dark. The word "off" appeared briefly, then nothing.